Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, hear me when I say this: there are some things in life that are sacred. There comes a time in your life when you must learn that your vulnerability is not for public consumption. Your tears are not for every shoulder. Your pain is not meant to be passed around like gossip on the street. See, there's a sacredness to your struggle. And when you hand your wounds to the wrong hands, you give people the power to break what they were never qualified to carry. You've got to understand, everybody asking how are you doing doesn't really want to help you heal. Some just want something to talk about. You see, when you share your weakness with people who are not spiritually mature, you're setting yourself up to be misunderstood, misused, and mishandled. Some people aren't interested in your healing, they're entertained by your bleeding. Some folks will smile in your face and pray on you, not pray for you. And while you're hoping for comfort, they're gathering information. While you're opening up your soul, they're calculating your downfall. Don't you know your weakness is a holy thing? Your vulnerability is precious. It's in your weakness that God is made strong. That's where He does His best work. That's where the transformation begins, and it's not for everyone to see. Not everyone is meant to have front row seats to your refining fire. When you're in the furnace, when you're in the wilderness, when you're down on your knees asking God, why me, you better know who you're talking to. Because the wrong person will turn your process into their entertainment. Let me tell you something powerful. Even Jesus didn't bleed for everyone, everywhere. He wept in private. He prayed alone in Gethsemane. And when he needed strength, he didn't call the crowd. He called the Father. That's the lesson right there. When you're weak, you don't need an audience. You need alignment. You need divine connection, not community commentary. Some of you are frustrated not because you're broken, but because you trusted your brokenness with people who never knew how to handle fragile things. They dropped you, they judged you, they used your truth to tear you down, but here's the good news: that experience didn't break you, it taught you. Now you know, now you see, now you understand that not every ear deserves your truth, and not every heart can hold your pain. So guard your weakness, wrap it in prayer, cover it in wisdom, bring it to the one who knows you inside and out. Let God heal you in secret so you can walk in strength in public. Because when He restores you, nobody will know how close you were to giving up. They'll just see the glow. They'll see the strength. They'll see the grace. And they won't know what you had to survive to stand there, but you will. And you'll thank God you didn't give your power away while you were still in pain. There is a danger in exposing what God is doing before it's ready. When God plants a vision in your heart, it's like a seed in the soil. It's not meant to be seen. It's not supposed to be exposed to the light too soon. It's hidden for a reason, protected, covered, watered in silence. But too many of us are out here digging up the soil just to show others what's underneath, what's still growing, what's still fragile, what's not ready to withstand the wind. Let me tell you something. Some dreams die not because they weren't from God, but because we talked too much. We told people too early. We invited opinions into a process that was never meant to be public. When Joseph shared his dream with his brothers, it wasn't the dream that failed. It was the timing. He spoke before they could see, and because they couldn't see, they hated what they couldn't understand. That's what happens when you reveal your purpose to people who still live in the past version of you. They see you as you were, not as God is shaping you to be. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is work in silence. Plan in private. Move without announcing, not because you're hiding, but because you're wise, because you understand that some things must be *** protected before they are presented ***. Not every detail of your next move deserves to be posted, discussed, or debated. Some doors will only open when you learn to walk without clapping for yourself. Sometimes God wants to see if you trust Him enough to grow in the dark. You don't need the approval of people who can't even dream on your level. You don't need confirmation from someone who has never carried a calling. Your vision is not up for vote. You are not waiting on their validation. You're waiting on God's release. And if He hasn't told you to move, don't run. If He hasn't told you to speak, stay silent. Obedience is not just about doing, it's about timing. You see, there's something sacred about a vision that's kept between you and God. When nobody knows, nobody can interfere. When nobody sees it, nobody can sabotage it. Sometimes your silence is your shield. Sometimes your privacy is your protection. Don't hand your future to people who only live for the moment. Don't give your destiny to folks who can't even handle your today. Keep it close, nurture it fast. Pray, work behind the scenes, and when the time comes when God says now, you won't have to announce it ***. Your fruit will make the noise ***. The results will speak, the elevation will speak, the transformation will speak, and those who doubted you. They'll be watching what they never saw coming. Hold your vision close, because in the right season, ***, what you kept hidden, will become what the world can't ignore ***. There is a danger in bleeding in front of people who haven't been assigned to your healing. There is a weight to your battle that not everyone is built to carry. When you're in the middle of the fight, when you're facing the storm, the struggle, the spiritual warfare, be careful who you let see you wounded. Because the wrong person will look at your limp and label you weak, not knowing that you're still walking, still fighting, still holding on by faith. Some of you are trying to explain your warfare while you're still in it. You're trying to articulate your pain while you're still bleeding. But when you're in the heat of the battle, you don't need spectators, you need strategy, you don't need commentary. You need covering. There is power in keeping quiet when your soul is still processing what your spirit is enduring. Let me tell you something, you don't owe anyone an explanation while you're under construction. You don't need to post every struggle, every setback, every sleepless night. Some things are meant to be fought in the trenches of prayer, not the timeline of public opinion. Because what you're battling isn't flesh and blood ***, it's spiritual ***. And if you go to the wrong people, they'll try to fix a spiritual battle with natural solutions. They'll give you advice when you need anointing. They'll speak from flesh when you need a word from heaven. Even Jesus, in his most painful moment, didn't explain himself. On the cross, bleeding, broken, betrayed, he said very little. Because when you're fulfilling purpose, ***, you don't have time to defend your process, ***. You don't need to explain your suffering to people who weren't assigned to your destiny. You fight in faith. You endure in silence, and you trust that ***, God sees you in the middle of the mess ***. Some of you are tired because you're talking too much in a season where you should be listening. You're seeking validation from people who can't even understand your battle. And every time you speak, you leak. Every time you explain, you weaken, but God is saying, be still, I'm fighting for you. Let me heal you in private so I can raise you up in power. There is a time to testify, but there is also a time to be still. There is a time to shout, and there is a time to pray in silence. You have to know the difference, because if you reveal your struggle too soon, you may invite judgment before God releases your justification. Don't let people define you by the season you're passing through. Don't let the enemy trap you in the place God is trying to bring you out of. So cover your wounds, take them to the one who heals. Stay low, stay quiet, stay faithful, because when the battle is over, when the war is won, you'll come out stronger, wiser, more anointed, and you won't need to say a word. Asterisk, asterisk, your victory will speak for you. Asterisk, asterisk, there comes a moment in your life when you must understand. Not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. Not everyone who claps for you is committed to you. Some people are only assigned to your past, not your purpose. They were good for the season you were in, but they cannot handle where God is taking you. And the danger is in dragging people into a destiny they were never built to carry. You've got to learn the difference between companions and covenant. Some folks are only walking with you because the road is smooth. But when the terrain gets rough, when the calling gets costly, when obedience requires sacrifice, they disappear. Hear this: you don't need a crowd to walk into your calling. You need clarity. You need discernment. Because some of you are weighed down not by the devil, but by the company you're keeping. Too many people are trying to bring everybody along for the journey, trying to explain elevation to people who are still comfortable on the ground. You keep opening your heart to people who don't have the character to handle you. You're trying to convince people to see your vision when they can't even see their own. And it's wearing you out. It's draining your spirit. You're pouring out what God gave you into people who never intended to pour back. Listen, Jesus walked with 12, but he revealed himself most fully to 3. And when it came time for resurrection, when it came time to rise again, he did it alone. That's the model. That's the blueprint. You've got to know who belongs in your circle and who's just passing through. Because elevation requires separation. You can't soar holding hands with people who are afraid of heights. You've got to protect your peace, protect your spirit, protect your calling, not in bitterness but in wisdom. Some people are not bad, they're just not built for where you're going. And if you keep forcing connections that God is trying to release, you'll delay what he's trying to do in your life. God will never bless who you pretend to be, and he won't elevate you while you're carrying what he told you to let go. So, pray for discernment. Ask God to reveal who's for you and who's just around you. And when he shows you, believe him. Don't try to negotiate with purpose. Don't cling to what was when God is calling you into what's next. Let them go if they must go. Release them in love, but move forward in faith. Because when you finally step into your next level, when you walk boldly in what God has for you, you'll look around and see that the right people stayed, the right doors opened, and the weight you dropped was the freedom you needed. Everyone can't go with you, and that's not rejection, that's refinement. There's a power in silence that most people overlook. In a world obsessed with noise, with announcements, with proving, posting, and proclaiming, there is something deeply divine about learning to move in quiet strength. Some of the most powerful victories happen in silence. Some of the most strategic battles are won without a word. You don't have to broadcast your process to validate your progress. You don't have to explain your every step to prove you're being led by God. Sometimes silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's not fear, it's focus. When you understand the value of what God is building in you, you also understand the importance of protecting it. Every time you open your mouth, you give the enemy information. Every time you talk too soon, you expose something still being formed. And the enemy can't fight what he doesn't know about. There's a reason God tells us to be still, not because he isn't working, but because your stillness gives him space to do what only he can do. You don't need to clap back at every critic. You don't need to respond to every rumor. You don't need to explain your choices to people who weren't present for your prayers. Sometimes the best thing you can do is go quiet, close your mouth, and open your spirit. Let God speak for you. Let your fruit speak. Let your peace speak. Because there is a level of peace that confuses people who expected you to fall apart. There is a calmness that comes when you know you're walking in divine timing. There's strategy in not showing your hand, in not revealing your next move, in not defending your name. The need to explain comes from insecurity, but silence is rooted in confidence. When you know who you are and whose you are, you don't panic in the process. You understand that your value isn't in visibility, it's in obedience. What God is doing in you is too important to risk by seeking approval from people who weren't part of the conversation between you and heaven. And make no mistake, there will be seasons where your silence feels misunderstood, where people assume you're stagnant when really you're being still on purpose, where they think you've stopped when in truth you've been repositioned. Don't let the noise of the crowd pull you out of your quiet season. Don't let the pressure to perform cause you to abort what God is still perfecting. Let God prepare you in private. Let him anoint you in the shadows, because when he brings you into the light, you'll be ready, not just loud, but solid, not just seen, but steady. The world will be surprised, but you won't be, because you were silent, but you were never still. You were quiet, but you were never disconnected. And when your season comes, when God says now, it won't be your voice that announces it, it'll be your fruit. Your life will speak what your lips never had to say. You don't have to explain greatness. You don't have to argue for your anointing. You don't have to beg people to see what God has placed inside of you. Let your life speak. Let your consistency speak. Let your growth speak. Because when the time is right, what you've been building in private will show up in power. You won't have to shout. You won't have to prove. You won't need to post your progress to be validated. The fruit will speak for itself. Some people want to be seen before they're ready. They chase platforms without preparation. They want applause before alignment, but what God is doing in you isn't for popularity, it's for purpose. And purpose doesn't need permission. It just needs time. That's why you've got to stay planted, stay faithful, stay obedient, because when the tree bears fruit, no one can deny it. You won't have to convince anyone when the harvest comes. They'll see it for themselves. Too many voices are talking about where they're going but have no evidence of where they've been. They speak of elevation without roots. But the deeper the root, the greater the fruit. You don't get that kind of growth overnight. You don't get that kind of strength from spotlight. You get it from silence, surrender, and seasons of unseen labor. God doesn't just bless noise. He blesses faithfulness. He honors those who serve in the shadows and keep pressing even when no one's clapping. So let your life be the testimony. Let the way you love people speak. Let the way you forgive speak. Let the discipline in your habits, the excellence in your work, the humility in your heart speak louder than any speech you could ever give. You don't need to announce every move. Just move with integrity. You don't need to correct every critic. Just keep walking in purpose, because when God elevates you, no man can deny you. People will ask, "How did you get here?" They'll wonder, "When did that happen?" But they didn't see the years you spent in the background, the tears you cried in secret, the prayers you whispered when you were ready to give up. They didn't see the battles you won with no one around to cheer you on. But your life will tell the story. Your character will carry the message, and your results will make the noise. Don't chase attention, chase assignment. Don't run after likes, run after legacy. The spotlight may come and go, but fruit remains, and when your fruit is real, it will feed others. It will bless generations. It will speak when you're silent. It will open doors your voice never could. So keep building, even when no one notices. Keep sowing, even when no one thanks you. Keep walking, even when it feels unseen. Because there's a harvest coming, and when it breaks through the soil, you won't need to say a word. The evidence will speak louder than anything you could have said. Let your life speak. Let your fruit do the talking.